Welcome to my channel. What does a woman truly feel after walking away from a good man? Not just an E-man, but one who remained calm, unshaken by the chaos around him, never raising his voice, never pleading for love, and never losing his sense of self, even when the world seemed to be falling apart. In this video, we're diving deep, not into the drama or the surface-level emotions, but into the quiet, often unnoticed emotional shift she undergoes when she realizes she let go of someone rare, someone who is a true pillar of stability. Let's take a closer look at what really happens when she walks away from a man who is worth keeping. Number 1, the quiet aftershock. The quiet aftershock. At first, she feels free. There's space. No one asking how her day went. No more good morning texts. No more deep conversations late into the night. It feels like she has her time back, like she can finally breathe. That sense of freedom almost feels like relief. But that's only the surface, because freedom without real connection, it gets old fast. She thought she'd feel lighter. She thought walking away from a good man meant walking into something better, something more exciting. But instead, there's this strange, growing void. And it doesn't scream. It whispers. It hums in the background of her everyday life, in the moments when her phone stays silent, in the quiet drive home, when no one's waiting to hear how her meeting went, in the restaurant where she used to sit across from him. Now, only the care feels familiar, and then the silence starts to change shape. It's no longer just about the absence of messages or calls. It becomes a presence in itself. Not just that he's gone, Butho. He's gone. No drama, no begging, no one chasing or trying to prove anything. Just calm, just peace. That's when it really begins to sting. She expected Cheo's emotion, maybe even desperation. But instead, she's met with stillness. A staleness she can't quite read. And that unnerves her, because deep down she knows this is not the silence of someone pretending. This is the silence of someone who is accepted. Someone who doesn't just walk away. He lets go with intention. And in that stillness, he becomes unforgettable. You see, a good man, especially one who lives with a stoic mindset, doesn't intrigue with noise or chaos. He doesn't chase after someone who let go. He simply returns to himself. He reflects, regains his center, and allows time to speak on his behalf. Like Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." And that's exactly where he goes. He doesn't post to prove he's doing fine. He doesn't to jump into distractions to feel desired. He grounds himself, here builds, and that ironically is what begins to pull her attention again, because she starts to realize the connection she had wasn't common. He wasn't just a good guy. He was solid, present, thoughtful. The kind of man who listens deeply, who doesn't play games, who made her feel seen. Now with him gone, all the noise around her starts to feel empty. The attention from others doesn't reach as deep. The conversations don't feel as safe. And slowly, she begins to feel the aftershock. Not because he punished her with distance, but because his absence, handled with grace and self-respect, reminds her of his worth, of what she walked away from, and more importantly, of what he's no longer offering her. This is the quiet power of a man who chooses peace over proving himself. And in that silence, something shifts. Not in him, but in her. If you've ever been this man, or if you're trying to become him, remember, you don't need to shout your value. Let your silence echo your strength. Let your calm say everything. She'll feel it. Maybe not today, but eventually aftershock always comes. Number 2, comparing chaos to calm. Comparing chaos to calm, she tries to move on. Maybe someone new enters the picture. It's fun, spontaneous, unpredictable. There are sparks, laughter, nights that feel exciting again. On the surface, it looks like she's living, unbothered, maybe even thriving. But underneath, there's a quiet shift she didn't expect. Soon, she begins to sense a strange emptiness. Not the dramatic kind that hits you all at once, but the subtle kind that creeps in slowly. It shows up in the way she ever thinks his late replies, and how her gut tenses when she doesn't know where Ash stands, that thrilling unpredictability. It starts to feel exhausting. It's no longer romantic. It's unstable. She remembers how different it felt with him, the good man. With the good man, there were no guessing games. His consistency wasn't just routine. It was protection. His words aligned with Hai's actions. He didn't pull her in one day and push her away the next. She felt seen, safe, grounded. She didn't realize how rare that feeling was until Shetreed to replace it with excitement. And now that sense of calm, it starts echoing louder in her memory. A man like that, he doesn't rush to prove anything. He doesn't chase chaos to feel alive. He builds himself daily in quiet discipline, the way Stoics like Marcus Aurelius taught. Will be like the cliff against which the waves continually break, but it stands firm and tames theftery of the water around it. That's what she's starting to miss. His calm wasn't bearing. It was powerful. And now, in contrast, everything else feels noisy, temporary, uncertain. She may not admit it to anyone, not even herself, but her heart remembers. Not the thrill, but the tranquility. Not the spark, but the steady fire. Not the drama, but the dignity. And in the silence he left behind, she begins to realize that chaos can't compare to the peace of being loved by a grounded man. So, let me ask you, have you ever felt like your calm presence was taken for granted? What did she realize when she traded your peace for temporary passion? Let me know in the comments, because your story might help another man protect his own peace. Number 3, emotional echoes. In the emotional echoes in the everyday. She walks past the cafe you both loved. Your song comes on. She scrolls through old photos, and in those quiet, unexpected moments, she feels the presence of the man who never forced his way in but left a lasting impression when he walked out. He didn't leave chaos behind. He left clarity. A reminder that stillness leaves a louder echo than noise. At first, she may have felt confident in her decision. Maybe she thought she needed something more exciting, more spontaneous. The world outside seemed louder, faster, full of distractions. But eventually all of that fades, and what's left are these subtle echoes. Like the way Sheno notices how no one listens to her the way you did. No one makes her feel understood with just a calm look. No one matches that steady presence that made her feel safe, even without words. You see, a good man doesn't cling. He respects her choice. He steps away not to punish, but because his peace is not negotiable. And this is where the Stoic path quietly speaks. As Marcus Aurelius said, the best revenge is not to be like your enemy. In this case, the best response isn't bitterness. It's becoming even more composed, more grounded in who you are. You don't retaliate with chaos. You disappear with grace. And that's what lingers. That's what keeps showing up in her mind when she least expects it, when the noise of her world quiets down. When she's lying in bed, scrolling through her phone and pauses on that one photo of you smiling. When someone new fails to ask how her day really went. She remembers not because you chased, not because you tried to prove your worth, but because your absence speaks like a whisper in a noisy room. A whisper that says, this is what real felt like. So if you're wondering whether she feels anything, understand this. A good man doesn't leave behind a mess. He leaves behind a mirror. And in time, will look into it and see the difference. And that difference is you. Regret without admission. Number 4, regret without admission. She won't say it out loud. She posts a radiant selfie. Caption it with something light and carefree. Maybe even throw in a quote about growth or independence. Her friends will comment fire emojis, and you go girl affirmations. And for a moment, it'll feel convincing. But behind that curated smile and those carefully chosen words, there's a quiet war raging between her ego, which tells her to stand tall and unbothered, and her emotions, which chain the stillness when no one is watching. Because even when she's surrounded by laughter, clinking glasses, and city lights, there are flashes, brief and undeniable. A song comes on that once played during a night they shared. A stranger opens a drawer for her. And for a split second, she remembers the way he used to do that without a second thought. Those moments don't announce themselves loudly, but they linger like shadows. The ache is subtle, but persistent. And while she won't speak it, it's there, heavy, real. But to confess it, that would mean tearing down the walls she built to protect her pride. And pride, once fortified, becomes a prison. Sherry remembers him more clearly now, not as a perfect man, but as a steady one. Emotionally grounded, reliable in ways that didn't demand applause. He didn't heed chaos to feel close. Didn't play games to keep her guessing. He was PC in human form. The kind of man who showed up because it was who he was, not because he wanted something in return. And now, in the silence he left behind, the noise she once chased feels hollow. The excitement she thought she wanted, it's fleeting, temporary, draining, but she won't reach out. She type a message, stare at the screen, then delete it before sending. She stalk his profile, search for signs that he misses her too. But she won't say it. Not, "I miss you." Not, "I was wrong." Instead, she'll stay quiet, hoping maybe he'll break the silence, hoping maybe he'll come back to ease the discomfort she now carries. What she doesn't know is he's already gone. Not in anger, not in spite, but in clarity. Because a Stoic man doesn't beg for closure, he becomes it. He doesn't try to decode signals or heal wounds that aren't his to carry. He accepts things as they are, not as he wishes them to be. Her silence spoke. Her distance was enough, and he listened. He didn't leave to teach her a lesson. He walked away to protect his peace, to remain grounded in his values. He understands that love without respect is not love at all, and that begging for presence is not strength. It's self-abandonment. So he chose self-respect, chose to rebuild in quiet, to grow in stillness. And that, more than anything, is what unsettles her now. Not just the memory of him, but the unshakable calm carries without her. The peace she thought was boring now feels powerful. The man she assumed would wait forever didn't. He moved on without making a scene, without bitterness, without need. He's not chasing validation. He's not trying to prove his worth. He just is calm, grounded, present. And now Theferdom she once believed was her victory has become her quiet envy. The weight of one-sided effort. Number 5. The weight of one-sided effort. New relationships require effort. But no, she notices she's doing all the chasing, all the emotional labor, all holding together. She's the one reaching out, trying to keep the spark alive. Constantly second-guessing his moods, wondering where she stands. It feels off, exhausting even. But she brushes it off at first, thinking maybe this is just how it goes. Then, in enough, those quiet moments of reflection, maybe after a disagreement, or when half forgets something important, something clicks. She remembers the man she let go, the one who made effort feel effortless, the one who showed up not because he had to, but because he wanted to. He didn't do grand, flashy things. He remembered the little details. He listened. He checked in. He held space when she needed it and gave her room when she didn't know she did. And he never kept score, not once. But what Shemis understood back then was why he did all that. She thought he did it because it was too nice or too available. Maybe she mistook his calm for a lack of edge. But now, being on the other side of emotional imbalance, she sees it differently. That good man didn't hover from insecurity. He gave from a deep reservoir of inner strength. Hadn't pour from a place of desperation. He poured from abundance. And that's what made the difference. A Stoic man doesn't lose himself in giving. He knows his limits and honors his peace. He doesn't perform kindness to earn love. He offers it as an expression of his character. That's the kind of energy Sheno realizes is rare. And while she may not admit it aloud, the comparison budgeons. The one she once overlooked now becomes the quiet standard by which others fall short. That's the weight of one-sided effort. It eventually makes you appreciate the balance you once had. Especially when it came from a man who led with care without ever losing himself in the process. And that realization, it doesn't just sting, it lingers. Before we continue, take a moment to let that sink in. If this part resonate with you, even just a little, don't keep it to yourself. Drop a comment below and share your thoughts, or simply type, "Effort without peace is never worth it." And hey, if you're finding value in this story, hit the like button to support the message. It helps more than you think. Ready to keep going? Let's dive into what happens next when that silent comparison turns into a deep emotional awakening. Number 6. Watching him rise as time passes, and she sees something unexpected. He's thriving. Not to impress, not out of spite, but because he lives by a different code. His growth was never about her. It was always about him. At first, she thought it was just a fooze. Maybe a gym photo here, a new project there. But then it kept going. He wasn't trying to prove anything. He wasn't posting captions aimed at her or treeing to make her jealous. No, his energy had shifted completely. It's in the way he speaks now, the way he moves, the calm in his eyes. That's what gets to her the most. It's not the change, it's the peace that came with it. Sherry remembers the man who once gave his all, who made time even when he was tired, who listened when she vented, encouraged her dreams, stood beside her with unwavering presence. And now she's watching that same man become something given, greater, stronger, quieter, more rooted. She scrolls past his life on her screen, but it lingers in her thoughts longer than she expects. Here's that truth. A Stoic man doesn't rebuild to win anyone back. He rebuilds because he knows his purpose is bigger than heartbreak. He doesn't look for closure in her return. He finds it in his own growth. Every morning he wakes up and chooses discipline over distractions. He faces discomfort with grace. He sharpens his mind, strengthens his body, and protects his peace. Not because he's moved on in bitterness, but because he's moved on in clarity. And now she sees it. He's not chasing. He's not waiting. He's not the same man she left behind. He's becoming the man she didn't expect them to become without her. And that quietly shakes her more than she ever admit. That's the thing about breaking up with a good man. You don't just lose him, you lose who he was becoming with you. And if you wait too long, you might realize too late that he didn't become better to get you back. He became better because he finally chose himself. And that is a transformation she can only watch from afar. Number 7. The sting of emotional safety lost. With him, she felt understood without explaining everything. She could just be raw, unfiltered, imperfect, and somehow still feel cherished. There was no need to decode texts, no anxiety about saying the wrong thing, no second Jewing, whether she was too sensitive, too quiet, too emotional. He didn't just listen. He heard her. He didn't fix her feelings, he simply made room for them. Now she finds herself holding back, walking on eggshells around someone new, wondering if her vulnerability is a burden, if her silence is taken as distance, if her passion comes across as too much. Chef filters herself now, not because she wants to, but because she has to. And thoughts when the ache sets in. The space he used to hold wasn't just rare, it was sickered. You see, a good man, especially a Stoic one, doesn't create peace to impress others. He creates peace because he lives in it. He doesn't control conversations or dominate emotions. He holds steady in chaos, not because he's sin-affected, but because he's disciplined. Stoicism taught him that true power is the ability to remain calm, not to force calm onto others. That's what she missed the most. Not the dates, not the gifts, but the presence, the unspoken sense that she was safe, seen, and secure. In a world full of performance and pretense, he gave her a rare kind of stability. And now, as she looks back, she realizes she didn't just lose a relationship. She lost a refuge. And here's the irony. He's not bitter. He doesn't hold a grudge. He simply continues forward. Quiet, clear, grounded. Not because he doesn't care, but because he knows that peace is too precious to trade for drama. That Kindoff man, he's not easily replaced. And once she feels the contrast, the emotional guessing games, uncertainty, the subtle judgment, she begins to crave again what she once had but didn't fully value. The calm, the clarity, the safety, misreading his stillness. Number 8, misreading his stillness. She thought he didn't care, that his silence meant indifference. In the early days after the breakup, it almost irritated her how calm he seemed. No messages, no calls, no dramatic pleas to come back. Just silence, unshaken, undisturbed. And in her mind, Shella belled at his coldness. She told herself that he must not have loved her the way she thought he did, that maybe she meant less to him than he ever meant to her, because how could someone stay so still if they were hurting? But time has a way of softening ego and sharpening awareness, and slowly her mind begins to replay the moments. Not the arguments or the goodbye, but the way he always made her feel seen. How had held space for her emotions without needing to fix them. How his love was never loud, but it was always stable. And now that stability is gone, replace it by a silence she once misunderstood. What she's realizing now is that his silence wasn't a sign that he didn't feel anything. It was a reflection, of his depth. His stillness didn't come from emptiness. It came from emotional maturity, a stoic kind of strength. The kind of strength that doesn't lash out, doesn't collapse under pain, and certainly doesn't chase what has chosen to walk away. She thought his detachment meant he didn't care, but now she sees it more clearly. His detachment was love refined by boundaries. He was still feeling, but he wasn't reacting, still hurting, but not collapsing, because a man who lives by principle doesn't betray himself to win someone back. And that's the difference between noise and peace. The kind of peace that once tasted becomes more valuable, than temporary affection. He wasn't trying to win her over. He was trying to win himself back, and she misread it all. Now she sees that detachment isn't the absence of emotion. It's the mastery of it. It's the art of loving without being, of feeling deeply without losing your center. A good man trained in Stoicism doesn't suppress his pain. He contains it. He carries it with grace. He lets it refine him rather than destroy him. And that, ironically, is what makes his absence so loud. His stillness, once misread as indifference, now feels like a mirror that reflects everything she didn't understand when she had him. She does now how to reach him anymore. Not because he blocked her, but because he's no longer waiting on the other side. He didn't disappear. He elevated. And now the silence she once dismissed is thievery thing she can't stop hearing. Number 9. The mirror moment. The mirror moment. Without him reflecting her value, she starts searching inward. And for the first time, she starts asking the deeper questions. Why did I leave? What was I afraid of? Was it really about him or me? When a woman walks away from a good man, it doesn't always hit her right away. At first, there might be freedom, distraction, or even validation. But as the noise fades, something quiet begins to surface. A discomfort not with him, but with herself. Because when he was in her life, he mirrored her better side. He saw her not just for who she was, but who she could be. And now in his absence, she begins to feel the weight of that loss. Not just the man, but the mirror he held up to her soul. That is the moment of internal collision. Not because he begged, not because he chased, but because he chose silence. A silence rooted in self-respect. You see, a stoic man doesn't demand recognition. He simply lives in alignment with his values calmly, consistently, without needing to prove a point. And when he's gone, his energy lingers like a question. Have you grown, or just moved on? It's in that stillness that she sees things clearly. The emotional safety he gave, the way he listened without trying to fix, the way he made her feel seen, not judged. And no, without that grounded presence, the chaos of the world feels louder, the reflection in the mirror more raw. This is what happens when she breaks up with a man who was emotionally secure, quietly strong, and deeply present. His absence becomes a teacher, not through words, but through contrast. Not by pointing fingers, but by letting her sit with her own truth. She may not say it out loud. She may even try to bury it, but somewhere deep down, she knows. The mirror didn't break when he left. It just stopped showing her the version of herself she once loved the most. In that realization, that's the ache that lingers, the lessons never had to speak. Number 10. Too late to rewind. Too late to rewind. Maybe she sends a message. Maybe she wants to talk. Maybe it's after a long day when she finally feels the quiet pressing in and her mind drifts back to him. The one who never made her question where she stood. So she types something simple, something safe. Hey. A message Ash hopes still means something. A message she hopes still reaches the man she left behind. But by now, he's no longer there. Not in the same place. Not in the same state of heart. Not in thy version of himself, she remembers. The man who once checked his phone hoping for her name to pop up, who once held space for her confusion, who once gave love without keeping score. He's evolved. Not hardened. Not bitter, just transformed. See, good men don't wait forever. They hope for a while. They leave the light in, but they don't let their worth decay in someone else's indecision. The Stoic man especially learns from the ache. He doesn't lash out. He doesn't beg for clarity. He retreats inward, finds balance, and lets time refine him, not define him. And that's what hurts her now. She expected that, if she ever changed her mind, he'd still be there. That maybe the pause she pressed on, the connection could be unpaused with just a message. But she didn't factor in his growth. She didn't see that every day he chose peace over chaos, silence over drama, purpose over waiting. Was a day he stepped further into the man he wasn't to be? He hasn't closed the door out of spite. He's just not sitting bended anymore. Because life for a man who's tasted self-respect no longer evolves around being chosen. He chooses himself now. And that kind off transformation, it doesn't reverse. Imagine this. She reaches out with hopes off rekindling, but the warmth she remembers has changed. It's calmer now, more distant. She finds a man who responds without leaning in, who listens without rescuing, who smiles but doesn't chase. And that's when it hits her. She's not reconnecting with the past. She's encountering his evolution. A Stoic truth echoes here. Man conquers the world by conquering himself. And he's conquered the urge to return to what broke him. He's conquered thepal of nostalgia. He's found strength in solitude, meaning in silence. So Wench asks, can we go back to how things were? The answer is no. Not because Hutzer, but because he loves who he's become too much to go back. And that is the real heartbreak. Not losing him, but realizing she let him go before she ever really knew who he was becoming. And now it's too late to rewind. She may never conclusion see it out loud. But deep down she knows losing a good man wasn't just a breakup. It was the loss of something rare. So if you're that man, keep walking your path. Don't chase. Don't prove. Don't shrink. Live with clarity. Lead with purpose, and protect your peace. Not to punish anyone, but to honor yourself. If this video resonated with you, let me know in the comments. What part hit the deepest for you? Or just type Stoic, but still human. Don't forget to like this video. It really helps spread the message. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss what's next. And if you're ready to go deeper, check out the videos on screen now. I'll see you there.